Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about the lows and highs of the MCU. We're talking about two movies that came out close to each other for the MCU that are somewhat linked. There's like at least one storyline that's like a run through from one to the other that kind of starts in one and then ends abruptly somehow in the other that almost feels like completely unnecessary. But yeah, and for a lot of people it represents a high point and a low point of the MCU in recent times. So we're going to be talking about those two movies this week. That's our main topic. In addition to that, we have our On the Horizon segment where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. And we've also got our On Beat segment with a few news stories and a few trailers to go over. Let's get started with On the Horizon. On the Horizon. On the Horizon, as I mentioned, is where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so, and we're going to start things off with Task, which is a limited series starring Mark Ruffalo and Tom Pelphrey, which is coming on Sunday, September 7th to HBO Max. They've advertised this for a while. I've heard good things. I don't really know too terribly much about it, but it's like the next big HBO limited series, and that's coming again on HBO Max and HBO on Sunday, September 7th. Also on Sunday, September 7th, The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon returns for, I believe it's its final season on AMC. Then on Tuesday, September 9th, Only Murders in the Building returns on Hulu. Then on Thursday, September 11th, Wolf King comes to Netflix. On Friday, September 12th, Borderlands 4 drops on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Switch 2 version's coming in October 3rd. I guess it's delayed a little bit from the other releases. The Long Walk also opens up on Friday, September 12th in theaters, as does Downton Abbey, the grand finale, Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, and Code 3, which is that one we reacted to a trailer for with Rainn Wilson where he plays like a paramedic, and those are all coming on Friday, September 12th to theaters. That's it for our Other Horizon segment. Now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat is our new segment, and we're going to start things off with a news story that just dropped today, which is, we knew that there was a Superman sequel, but James Gunn was reticent to call it a Superman sequel. He was saying more like, oh, it's the next thing in the Superman universe, or the next thing in the Superman story, basically. And now we've got that confirmed. We've got a name for it and a release date, a tentative release date. The Superman sequel is going to be called Man of Tomorrow. It's being directed, and it was written by James Gunn. And it has been announced for July 9th, 2027. So just under 2 years.
They announced that David Corenswet and Nicholas Hoult will return. They will be the co-leads of the film. Also, you can expect Rachel Brosnahan to return. And, what is it, Danielle Merced?
Which role?
Hawk Girl.
Oh, okay.
She posted the announcement on Instagram with it, said, see you soon.
Okay. So maybe we should see her. Maybe we'll see more of the Justice Gang. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll see more of the Justice Gang. It's funny because James Gunn posted it, and then Nicholas Hoult and David Corenswet also posted the news on their Instagrams, but they all used a different image in their posts. They're all like images of Superman and Lex Luthor wearing his famous comic book power armor, but they're all different images of like those two characters with that. So it's interesting the way they did that. Any speculation you have on what could possibly be the plot of like the sequel?
Mecha Luthor,
yeah, obviously. I think this is going to involve like another threat. I think Lex Luthor is going to be like a big part of this, obviously. But I think like we're going to get a new villain in this. We're probably going to get Brainiac. I think Brainiac is a good prediction for this. We'll also possibly see Supergirl in a bigger role in this too.
He's going to have her debut movie next year, I think. So, yeah. I mean, we got Superman this year, Supergirl next year, and Man of Tomorrow the year after that.
Yep. And remember, Clayface is also coming out sometime. It's already in production. Filming has already begun on Clayface. There have been like set photos that have leaked for that film. So filming has already begun on Clayface.
I saw somebody snapped a picture of somebody on the set of Clayface wearing a Supergirl jacket.
Oh, you did see the one set photo from Clayface where somebody snapped a photo of a crew member on Clayface wearing a Marvel Vision Quest shirt with the Vision Quest logo on the back?
No, I didn't see that one. I saw the Supergirl crew jacket. It was like an actual crew jacket for Supergirl.
Oh, that's awesome. I saw a post that said the logo for Marvel's upcoming Vision Quest leaked via Clayface set photo.
Another thing I could say about this is that apparently one of the big clues to like the overarching story that's going to be going through like the entirety of the DCU, the whole gods and monsters thing that James Gunn brought up, is gonna pop up in Lanterns, which is gonna be a TV series that Damon Lindelof, the showrunner of Lost, is gonna be doing. So I imagine maybe we're gonna see some Lantern stuff going on in this if they're connected to it, because Guy Gardner is already connected to the Superman stuff. So I don't know if it's gonna be, if they're gonna bring this up in Lanterns, then I have to imagine there's got to be some kind of a Lanterns shenanigans going on that's tying into the main story.
We don't know like too much about Lanterns. It's debuting on HBO Max next year. Garrett Dillahunt is apparently playing the villain. There has been speculation that Garrett Dillahunt is playing Black Hand, who is like a very nasty Green Lantern villain. Mm-hmm. He's like the leader of the Black Lanterns, but don't know, hasn't been confirmed. But yeah, that's interesting, and that could also have some ties into like the new Superman movie as well.
Yeah, because that's supposed to be the moment that we get our first real clue about the overarching plot of this DCU.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be in Lanterns. Like, Lanterns is supposed to be the one that kind of kicks off that part of the story, or like that part of the mystery of the story or something. So I imagine whatever we get in Lanterns is going to play a part in what's moving forward in basically all the movies.
Also, apparently, IMDb is saying Ulrich Thompson has been cast as Sinestro.
For Lanterns?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for Lanterns. I'm a big fan of Damon Lindelof, so.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds interesting what James Gunn's been saying about
it. Okay, too, so. Variety reported that. Somehow I missed, back in January. Somehow I missed that.
But that is our Superman news. And now our next news story, just as exciting, even more so if you ask me. A Call of Duty film is in development at Paramount, with possible TV projects as well.
Oh boy! Joy! I can't wait for generic military TV show movie. Hooray.
Are they going to go in the weird sci-fi direction that the new game seems to be going
I hope so. That's the only way it's going to be interesting. If they do like all the weird sci-fi shit.
They're just going to do Call of Duty Zombies as a movie?
Yeah, as a movie, yeah. Because like, I just don't find it interesting. I can't say like I'll play those games. Those games obviously like they have a narrative, they have their own characters. It's probably going to be like a blast for people who are like fans of Call of Duty, but I just see that. I'm just Call of Duty, like, man, it just doesn't seem like it would be like, any different from any other war drama, and just without the name.
Let me just posit this to you though, okay? What if there are 13-year-old boys yelling homophobic slurs through the entire movie?
Oh yeah, and it's really muffled. They're on like a microphone, a headset microphone.
Yeah. What if that is the trick for the movie?
That's the trick, yeah.
And it's gonna be like the Minecraft movie where like everybody screams and goes crazy for Chicken Jockey. They're all gonna scream and go crazy every time like the N or F word is dropped.
Every time like the main protagonist, played by like, I don't freaking know.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Played by like Colin Farrell. Like the main protagonist. No, it's gonna be like the guy from Heroes, Milo. He's gonna be in the show. He's in the game. He's gonna be in the show.
The game, yeah.
Every time he like shoots So you got the other team. You hear like a muffled microphone 13-year-old going, "That's bullshit! You're cheating! I'm going to report you!"
And then the audience goes crazy and throws all their popcorn in the air.
Oh, it's the most iconic part of Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think the lead of the movie is going to be Kevin Spacey. He was also in one of the games.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And he's on this whole, like, return for his career now, you know, where he's only invited to, like, some weird European film festivals, and then it's heavily criticized that he's there. So he'll be the lead of the new Call of Duty film.
Yes, that's very obviously happening.
All right. We're through our regular news stories, though. We're moving on to some trailers. We've got 3 to cover this week. First, we already covered the first trailer for this, but we got a more in-depth trailer for Begonia, starring Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone, from the director of Poor Things and The Favorite.
Yeah.
So the last trailer for this was excellent. This new trailer is also excellent.
This new trailer is also excellent. It's just like completely bonkers.
You see Emma Stone with her head shaved in this one. They took her hair because they thought she was using it to communicate to aliens.
It's an interesting setup. Basically, Emma Stone is this high-profile CEO, girl boss, very high-profile person. Jesse Plemons' character is like a low-wage, ordinary worker. And you think, oh, okay, this is kind of like, okay, he's frustrated at his thing, and this is why he's lashing back at the CEO. And no, his whole thing is he believes she's an alien and part of an alien conspiracy. Like, his mind is completely gone, you know? And so it's about that. It's not like about justice for his situation. He thinks like aliens are enslaving humanity, and she's a part of that.
And her hair helps her communicate with her mothership.
Her mothership. Yeah, exactly. It's a really like interesting setup.
It's going to be a hostage movie. So it's going to be a movie where it's a tension between the hostage and the hostage takers.
Yes.
Because this is a hostage that isn't backing down and being scared and begging to be released and stuff. This is somebody who's like challenging them.
Yeah, exactly. She's challenging them because she thinks they're a joke. And at least as far as the trailer goes, it seems she's right. But we don't know like where the movie's going to go, where the movie's going to zig or zag. So it's hard to say.
There's a quick shot in the trailer of like a street that looked like abandoned, that had all these like military vehicles or cars. Like it was like a freeway or something. And it was just like this real quick shot. And it's like, oh, what's that? Are they like implying that maybe this isn't brain rot conspiracy, that this might actually end up being like a real thing? Or that this might trigger some kind of event, you know, like people going crazy because this person's abducted, or what's going on there? We don't know, but it seems to be hinting at something more going on than what we're seeing on the surface.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think there's more to the film, so that's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got a trailer for House of Guinness, which is a new TV series from the creator of Peaky Blinders and Taboo.
This is a documentary about the creator of the Guinness Book of World Records.
Not far off. I mean, the Guinness Book of World Records is literally from Guinness, the company.
Oh, it's
Guinness.
Related to the company. Okay, so it actually is.
Like you ever heard with food, Michelin star?
Yes.
That's Michelin Tire. That's a Michelin Tire company. It's
I learned that a while back.
Yeah, but Guinness World Records was created by Guinness, the beer company.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you're not far off, but it's not a documentary. It's some kind of a biopic.
It's not even like a biopic. It's just like a fictionalized drama about the immediate children of the founder of Guinness, and then like he dies and they inherit his empire.
It looks like Peaky Blinders meets what's that show? Succession.
Yeah, you have like a Succession situation going on, but of course this is like 19th century like Ireland, so like it's got those Peaky Blinders vibes.
You got like the Troubles going on, which is like the war between like Ireland and Britain and stuff. You've got there seems to be a heavy plot thing about Guinness coming to America.
Yeah.
That seems to be like a major plot point that's shown throughout the trailer. You see like crates labeled Guinness headed to America and stuff being stamped on them in the trailer. So it's like, okay, that's going to be clearly a plot point. There seems to be something about like labor issues going on as well.
There's labels and TV like workers rebellion going on. Jack Gleason is in this. He's in the trailer.
Should have known. Joffrey Baratheon behind it all again.
Yeah, damn it, Joffrey.
He's all, what you didn't know is that the wine I choked on wasn't wine, it was Guinness.
It was Guinness, yeah. And it was funny, like, seeing him in this trailer, because, like, I was just commenting when we were covering Sandman on the podcast, oh, Jack Gleason, like, he should be in more things. You know, because he hadn't been in anything since Game of Thrones ended, as far as I know, until Sandman was the first thing I saw him in since the end of Game of Thrones, and now he's in this. So
I
it's
think
like,
he
oh,
was
good for him.
something else, but it was something really small.
It wasn't anything like I saw, so it doesn't sound.
Yeah, it was something kind of small, but this definitely seems like he's kind of got a comeback. Interestingly enough, both Netflix shows, so Sandman and House of Guinness.
Interestingly enough.
He's decided he likes Netflix.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, the creators of Game of Thrones, after finishing Game of Thrones, made a contract with Netflix as well.
Yes.
Which they've fulfilled, I think, 2 things on so far. They have a
three body
problem, and they also did like a movie about like a metal band in a high school or something. It was okay. It wasn't that great. But yeah, so that's House of Guinness coming to Netflix, as I said, from the creator of Peaky Blinders, and it shows. And then lastly, this was kind of a surprise trailer for me. I have to say I'd say I'm a little bit more optimistic than I was before, but my reaction before was like complete negativity, so that's not really saying a lot. I also have to say that even that little bit of optimism is very cautious, because this is from the studio that brought us What If, and that's Marvel Zombies. We got our first trailer.
The trailer looked good. It looked good. I especially love the shot of Spider-Man using his webbing to like rip off all those zombie heads.
Yeah.
You never like see Spider-Man in like an R-rated situation like that before. That was kind of neat to see him like use his powers like that.
What about the elephant in the room?
Yeah, the elephant.
Blade.
In the room. Yeah, Blade. Yeah, they showed Blade.
Blade Knight, apparently. It's a Moon Knight version of Blade, I guess.
I don't know. They can do whatever they want. I guess it's an alternate universe. He is not being played
by Mahershala Ali,
in this. So.
Or if he is, they didn't show that because they showed the cast at the end of and it didn't include him.
It didn't include it. I'm 100% he's not on board for this.
But like What If, there were a bunch of MCU cast members that are reprising their roles.
Like pretty much like almost everybody is reprising their roles for this.
Yeah, Simu Liu's in this one, which is, I think, the first MCU thing he's done since, maybe he did something in What If. I didn't watch the last season of What If, so maybe he did do something.
I think he was in the last season of What If.
But besides that, he hasn't done anything Marvel related since Shang-Chi 1.
Yeah.
Which has been like 5 years now, I think. So 5 years, something like that. So good to see him back, I guess. Florence Pugh and David Harbour are reprising their roles from something we're going to be talking about later tonight. A lot of returning cast, but that was also the case with What If. What If had most of the cast too.
Is coming back. Dominique Thorne. Significantly, Elizabeth Olsen is Scarlet Witch in this. She's coming back.
She hasn't done anything since Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything since Multiverse of Madness. Todd Williams, that's who IMDb says is playing Blade in this.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we got Randall Park is back. Haley Steinfeld is back for this. Aquafina, Wyatt Russell, Paul Rudd's back for this. Not seeing Tom Holland, so I don't think Tom Holland's voicing Spider-Man in this, which is a bit disappointing.
I don't think he voiced him in. They did the What If episode.
Yeah, he didn't voice him in that either. But I was like, well, they could have gotten Tom Holland, right?
Yeah, he was one of the notable absent people from What If. There were a lot of MCU cast members in What If, and there were a few that were notably missing, and he was one of them. Along with Scarlett Johansson wasn't in it either, in What If. But they still had her character, but she wasn't playing that character.
Yeah, she wasn't playing
and we know Spider-Man's in this. We just...
Yeah, we know Spider-Man, so he's probably being played by the same actor who played Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and What If. So not Tom Holland, but that's fine.
It was a very cool trailer. They were really playing up the R-rated nature of it. The trailer starts with giant print saying this trailer is rated TVMA, to really hammer home that this is a mature show. I'm optimistic based on the trailer, but again, cautiously optimistic because What If was just a hot pile of garbage, and this is the same people who made What If. So, I don't know. And they even did a What If Zombies episode, and that was garbage.
Yeah, that wasn't good. And I was really excited for that one too. But this is its own series, so maybe, they've improved. I'm going to be optimistic about it because the trailer did look good, and I can't say that for the last trailer for What If Season 2.
You mean Season 3?
Season 3, that's right. Jeez, they did 3 seasons of What If.
Because I watched the first 2 seasons of What If. I didn't watch the third one.
They also need to do the sequel that I posted on Discord. They They need to do that.
If they could land Bruce Campbell, I'll watch that for sure.
Yeah, right? 100%.
If they do Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness, and they can land Bruce Campbell. If they do that and can't land Bruce Campbell, then I'm gonna skip it.
I would think it'd be easier to land Bruce Campbell since it'd be animated. He'd just have to do the voice acting. I don't think he wants to do anything live action as Ash due to his age and the physicality that would require. He's up there with Robert Englund and I'm getting too old for this shit territory. But
but I don't know, man. It's just What If was such a shit show.
Yeah,
I still say there is one great episode of What If, and that's it. Again, I haven't seen the third season, so who knows? The third season might be just mind blowing, the greatest television show ever made. I doubt it, but but I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
Right?
But
yeah, I haven't watched it. I haven't heard people bawling over it. So
But in my opinion, What If has only had one great episode, and that was the Doctor really Strange episode in the first season.
Yes,
that's it. That was the only good episode, and it's not just the character, because the character returned in the first season again, and then also returned in the second season, and those episodes were garbage.
Yeah,
so I can't say that it was just the inclusion of that character that made it great or something. No, that was just a good episode, and they haven't done any other good episodes besides that one, basically. But Marvel Zombies, we'll have to see. I don't know. Even with the cool pacing and the editing and the trailer and the fact that it's got blood and stuff, it also has that just generic ass What If art style.
Yeah, it has the What If art style to it, which is I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah, it's just kind of generic, and it's that's the first thing that kind of gives me reservations. It's oh.
Yeah.
Maybe even just because it reminds me of who's making it. It reminds me that it's the same people making this. Because I'll always say, when it comes to a show or a movie or anything, the thing that's going to first attract my attention to it more than anything is who's making it. I was excited about Weapons when I heard the title Weapons because I knew it was Zach Krieger. And I'm oh, Barbarian was amazing. I'm really excited about what he's going to do next. His next movie is called Weapons, and the poster is a kid running with his arms out and a tagline about kids disappearing in the middle of the night and stuff. It's instantly super intrigued, But the main thing that intrigued me more than anything else is that it was from Zach Krieger, who had just really impressed me with Barbarian.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing with it.
Yeah.
Because Weapons, he presented it as a mystery. You don't know what this is. You don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the hype doesn't work if it's not a creator who put out good work before. If it was just somebody you never heard of, you'd be oh, okay. Well, maybe this could be good. This could be a classic. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. I'm probably not going to think about this until it comes out and I happen to watch it.
I'm just saying it cuts both ways though, because it's I had mentioned earlier in this podcast, I'm really excited for Lanterns because Damon Lindelof is doing it, and that really excites me because I'm a big fan of Damon Lindelof, huge fan of Lost, Leftovers, all of that. So him doing Lanterns has me super intrigued. Whereas I'd still be interested, but a lot less so if it was somebody else. But in the case of Marvel Zombies, it cuts in the opposite direction. Because I watched this trailer and I'm it looks pretty good and stuff, but it does have that generic art style, and it's not the art style itself wouldn't have dissuaded me so much as the fact that I see that art style and it reminds me of What If. And then I go, oh yeah, these are the same guys that made What If that are doing this. And instantly I'm deflated.
Yeah.
My anticipation deflates. Because like I said, it cuts both ways. In the same way that Damon Lindelof attached to Lanterns bumps up my excitement dramatically for that series, in the same way, the people who did What If doing Marvel Zombies deflates my excitement.
No, I get what you're saying about that.
Yeah. So, I'll check it out as it's coming up and we see more from it, I'm sure I'll eventually check it out unless I just hear really horrible things, and then I might just avoid it. Like I did season 3 of What If after how bad the second season was.
Uh-huh.
But who knows? At least you could say it's a good trailer. Good use of metal, real kinetic, real fast pace. It was a well-cut trailer, if nothing else. But that's it for our On Beat segment, and that leaves only full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we're doing double duty. We're talking about 2 movies. We're talking about Captain America Brave New World, and we're talking about Thunderbolts with an asterisk, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But this is Full Spoilers, so we're going to cover all of that.
We're going to cover all that. We're going to tell you what the asterisk is. That's for sure.
The most well-kept secret in the industry.
But yeah, let's talk about this because I have opinions, obviously. So I did watch these movies in release order that they came out. I think that only made sense to do.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned at the top of the show, there is a through line.
For the life of me, like I watched both movies recently, I can't, for the life of me, remember like what that through line is supposed to be.
As I mentioned, the through line is there, but it might as well not even be there because it's so insignificant. And here is what the through line is. It's Bucky Barnes being like a senator.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that didn't occur to me because he only shows up for like a small cameo in Brave New World. He's only there for like
set it up like it's
scene.
this big thing, and then in Thunderbolts it basically already comes to an end.
And it's funny because like I thought he was just there in Brave New World because of his connection to Anthony Mackie, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. In some ways, both movies are follow-ups to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because you got like pretty much all the principal cast from that Marvel Disney Plus miniseries in here, like sans Baron Zemo, obviously. He doesn't appear in either movie. But you got Bucky, you got Cap, and you got U.S. Agent Wyatt Russell, which they never give him an official name in Thunder. I thought they would give him his code name, and this they don't. They don't call him anything, like really. They just say, oh, you used to be Captain America.
It's the same thing with Yelena, because Yelena's, I guess, has taken on the mantle of her sister.
Right.
But that's not mentioned either, you know? And if you think about, did they ever even mention Natasha's code name in the MCU? I think they might have, like, offhand, like the first time we met her or something.
Must have been weird. I'm pretty sure they said Black Widow.
They talked about the program. Like but like, they don't know. I think they might have referred to her as Black Widow, like in Iron Man 2. Like the first appearance or something. And that's pretty much it. After that, it was just, everyone just called her Natasha.
But let's jump right into Brave New World first, because like this is the one I had the lowest expectations for. And I want to be fair.
And it failed to meet them.
I won't go that far. I won't say that. I think it met expectations, which good or bad, you can decide for yourself there. But I did not have high expectations for this. The trailers didn't look particularly exciting for the film. You know, the reviews weren't good.
I thought the second trailer was actually really good. Like, it really had that espionage vibe of like Winter Soldier. But I remember us talking about it and me saying it's a really good looking trailer, but it's working in the opposite direction because Secret Invasion also did a really cool like 70s espionage style trailer.
Yeah.
And that ended up so garbage that like it just tanked my expectations.
I just don't remember like anything getting me really hyped for this movie. But I wanted to go into this with an open mind. I didn't want to go into it like going like, oh yeah, I'm going to hate this for sure. I want to go into it with an open mind. And now that I watched it, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. There are good things in the movie.
There are good bits.
There are good bits. And I do want to start this out with the positives. I liked Anthony Mackie in the movie. I think any scene where Anthony Mackie is just talking to another character is great because I think he has some great dialogue with Harrison Ford, with his friend there, Falcon, the new Falcon, you know, like
Joaquin Torres,
Isaiah
Bradley has great interactions with him.
Again, another carryover from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And of course, it's only a brief scene, but we get Bucky Barnes, and he's awesome. He has great chemistry with Sam. So.
I like that they brought Isaiah Bradley back. Unfortunately, he is underutilized in this film, and he seems to like only be there as a narrative device to get Captain America more emotionally invested in the situation, because for the most part, the events happening in this don't like really have anything to do with him, which is like weird. I'll get into that. After I'm done going over my positives, I'll get into that though. And also the action scenes. I think this has some spectacular action sequences, especially the sequence over the Celestial Mass, the aerial sequence where he's trying to stop the Japanese ships from firing on the battleships. I thought like all that was great. That's fantastic. But the actual movie itself, the story, it's just not good. You know
what it is?
Yeah.
It's that they're trying to portray a super hyper intelligent character and they just didn't write it intelligently. villain. It's like you can't just like say this character is so smart. Look how smart he is. Look how smart he's so smart, and then have him not do anything that's smart. You know?
Oh yeah, exactly. And I thought the leader was the biggest whiff of this movie because Marvel has been good at developing sympathetic villains like Thanos. Like Thanos is great. He's so memorable because he's
Loki was like the first one.
Yeah, Loki. Yeah, Thanos is like so memorable in the MCU because he's this big bad villain, but he has like what he believes is a noble goal.
You also have like the Black Panther villains with like Killmonger and Namor, who are both good.
Killmonger, Namor. You know, they have such a history of doing great villains, and the leader,
the Mandalorian and Shang-Chi. That's another one.
And the leader, you could tell like they want the leader to
hold on. I just said the Mandalorian and Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I know you did.
The Mandarin and Shang-Chi.
Yeah, the Mandarin and Shang-Chi. Yeah, not the Mandalorian. He's a good sympathetic villain too.
Yeah, the Mandalorian's he's only in Fantastic Four.
No, but
which we're not.
You're trying, and you can see they're trying to make the leader a sympathetic villain in this, but that only comes through that only happens in dialogue. There's like only dialogue about what Ross has been doing to this guy for like all these years since the end of The Incredible Hulk, but there's never any part of the movie that actually investigates this character or that we like see that's a sympathetic side to him. He's just this paper thin mustache twirly villain for like the entirety of the movie, and it's just not compelling in the slightest.
To me, like I said, I think the worst injustice is that they keep trying to portray this character as like the smartest character we've ever seen in the MCU, and all he does is like spout off percentages.
Yeah.
Like, he has no rationale. He gets like way too frustrated when something doesn't go according to plan, which seems like his plan wasn't really all that great. Like, he's trying to play it off like it's the most brilliant plan ever, and it's like, this is kind of garbage tier, like, master plan, you know?
Yeah. It's so funny, too, because there's scenes where, like, the scene where, like, Anthony Mackie showed up where he was being held. You know, Captain America shows up, and he's like, oh, wow, I had an 83% probability that you would go help your friend instead of showing up here. You surprised me. So basically, you just count on people not doing what you think is the most obvious thing. You know, so like if somebody deviates from the most obvious thing, you're like shocked. Although you can see like all probabilities apparently.
The probability thing was so annoying because there was like no justification for how he came to his probabilities. It was just spouted nonsense. It was just like, oh, I put a 67% chance that you had blueberries for breakfast. It's like nothing was informed by anything. It was just like him saying that there was a probability with like no reason to assume that. And that even extended to like the post-credits scene with him. Where it's like, oh, the probability that we're about to be invaded by a different dimension. It's like, what bullshit is that? Like, there's no fucking reasoning, nothing. Just like, this probability. It's so stupid. And it's like a pet peeve of mine to just portray a smart character just by telling us they're smart.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have to show us they're smart.
It's lazy.
Yeah.
It's lazy. It's bad characterization. And the problem is, this is the villain the entire movie hinges on. You know, this is the main villain of the film. Yeah. So it's kind of like...
And it's not the actor's fault, it's the writing.
Yes, no, the writing is bad. Yeah. The writing is terrible for him. And that extends to other things. Like, I didn't like the whole mind control angle, or like the way it was done in this movie. It's
annoying.
Lazy.
Yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah.
Whenever they do mind control and they make it too easy, it just makes it feel like weak, because it's like, okay, so he can just mind control anybody with like a song or a flashing...
Yeah,
it's like with the fire.
Yeah, they made so he can mind control anybody at any time, and so like...
At no time did it feel like this was something brilliantly engineered. It just feels like, oh, this is just something he can do.
Any time the plot needed somebody to be mind controlled, that happened.
Yeah.
So like it actually sucks all the suspense out of it.
It's lazy, it's unearned, is the term I would use.
Yeah, unearned, yes, is definitely the term.
And so this is why, in my opinion, the movie actually started out good.
Yeah.
Like, I think the first third to even to like half of the movie is good. It's really when he becomes the focus, it's really when we start getting the leader as like a focal point, that's when it just turns to shit. They just don't know how to fucking write that character, and they just said, oh, well, fuck it, we'll just say he's brilliant, and just, you know, the audience will just accept that.
Well,
and it's like, well, you're not showing us.
He's brilliant. They say and don't show like a lot with this character. They say he's brilliant, attempt. And then they say, oh, he's been tortured by Ross all these years. Again, they don't really show that with the character. It's kind of like, oh, well, I guess we know that because they said it. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. There's a lot of that too in this movie. Again, a huge problem with writing is a lot of the dialogue and stuff is just these really lame exposition dumps. It opens with an exposition dump via news broadcast explaining the plot of the first Hulk movie and who Thaddeus Ross is, to the viewers. Just in case this is your first Marvel movie, this is what happened in the movie 10 years ago. It's okay, sure.
Yeah. To me, it's I accept that just because the Hulk movie is kind of a minefield with Marvel,
Yeah.
And so I kind of accept it from that point. They're trying to kind of get you brought into these characters, so they kind of have to sum it up because it's basically been ignored for 15 years.
It is weird how much this feels more like a sequel, like a Hulk movie, than a Captain America movie. It's got the principal characters, except for Captain America, obviously, are the Hulk supporting cast, because you got
the villains from the Hulk.
The villain. Yeah, Thaddeus Ross is the president. He's one of the big main characters. He literally turns into a Red Hulk at the end of the movie. The leader is a Hulk villain. He was in the first Hulk movie. He was teased at the end of the first Hulk movie. And Betty Ross, they actually got Liv Tyler to do a cameo at the end, which I wasn't expecting them to do. I thought, at the beginning of the movie, first time you see Harrison Ford, when he says, oh, my daughter's still...
It's kind of the wrong place to put her, though.
Yeah, I kind of thought at the beginning when he said, oh, my daughter still isn't talking to me, I was like, oh, okay, well, there's your explanation for why Liv Tyler's not shown up in this. Oh, no, she actually does. Okay.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's they made such a huge deal. They way overplayed the whole, me and my daughter like the cherry blossoms thing. They just they must have said that 10 times in the movie. They brought that up. Me and my daughter and the cherry blossoms. Me and my daughter and the cherry blossoms.
That's another gripe I have, because this movie really doesn't trust the audience to get things. So it over-explains everything to the audience.
But then when they get to they have the big final showdown with the cherry blossoms. That's cool and all. But then it's fucking Sam that talks him down at the cherry blossoms after he's been talking about how it's a thing with him and his daughter. And then they have his daughter come in after that. Doesn't that seem kind of wasted? Wouldn't it have made more sense if Sam was keeping him busy and then his daughter arrived and maybe he almost hit his daughter? That would have been a really dramatic moment,
That would have been a really dramatic moment. Although on the other hand, I do like them having Sam talk him down because that calls to Sam's experience as a counselor, which is mentioned in this movie. It's mentioned before, but it was actually cool to see him actually be able to use those skills in a battle, as part of his skill set.
Sure, but they set up something was going to happen with his daughter, especially after the phone call scene, that his daughter was going to be involved in some way or something.
Oh yeah,
and then they played it all up into that, and then didn't.
She only shows up to visit him after he's locked up in the raft.
Yeah, it just felt like a missed opportunity. They could have done something really dramatic. They could have had her show up and him just about to fucking destroy her, punch her in the face, and then recognizing it's her and stopping last second. And he could have still had all the stuff with Sam trying to talk him down, and that being kind of the final card he plays to stop him. And they don't do that. They just have her show up at the raft later, which just feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it does feel like a missed. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
It's almost like it would have been better if they just didn't fucking mention her if they weren't going to do that. You know what I mean? Why do they keep talking? Because it's seriously, like I said, they keep bringing up me and my daughter and the cherry blossoms. Me and my daughter and the cherry blossoms. We get to a scene, it's him and the cherry blossoms.
Oh yeah. This movie does not trust you to get or remember things.
Yeah. But it doesn't play it. It's okay, so obviously the final fight's going to be where the cherry blossoms are. But one of those three things that just keeps being repeated over and over again isn't there.
Right.
I thought that was really weak.
Another thing that gets me is, again, this is a Hulk movie. It's got all the principal characters from the first Hulk film, minus Abomination. Thaddeus Ross, the man who was out to get the Hulk, turns into a literal Red Hulk on global television, during a press conference at the White House, and Mark Ruffalo doesn't even bother to show up.
Yeah.
The actual Hulk is nowhere to be seen. If anything, would spur him into action. I think that would be it. I'm sure Marvel, like, has some explanation, like, oh, he was off-world or something. I'm sure there's some trite explanation, but, like, it's glaring in its absence.
Yeah.
It's like if freaking Lex Luthor was destroying Metropolis and only Green Arrow showed up to save the day.
I have one other kind of big complaint. I think it's a cardinal sin in film and television, and this commits it, which is that they wasted Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes, when they cast, I told you not to get excited, because they did the same thing with Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
They just cast these amazing actors in these, like, very minor villain roles that never pop up again.
Just, like, boring roles, too. Not really, I mean...
Mads Mikkelsen was
better.
Bigger villain in Doctor Strange. But Doctor Strange was also...
And that was better. He had, like, some
better
lines and stuff. He had, like, the whole, like, Mr. Doctor or something. He said, no, it's strange. And he said, well, maybe, but who am I to judge, you know?
Right, yeah.
It had, like, cool
but Doctor
moments
Strange
with
was
him.
also a better movie, so...
Yeah. But I just mean, like, they just completely wasted him here. Like, not only was it just a small role, but it was just a boring role. Like, they didn't have anything interesting for him to do.
People were, like, talking about the leaks of Serpent Society. There was a character, like, in the leaks for, like, toys and stuff, like a member of Serpents that, like, never shows up in this movie, as far as I can tell. The Serpent Society is Giancarlo Esposito. He has a cool fight with Sam without his armor, without his gadgets, or his shield. Like, he has a cool fight with Sam. That's about it.
Yeah. He has, like, an interaction with him later, but it's kind of boring. It's not...
Yeah.
It doesn't really go anywhere interesting. It's just, like I said, I think the first third to maybe even half of the movie is fine. It's not great, but it's fun. And then the last, like, act of it is just trash. And I mean that from a story perspective. Because even with all the trash, I have to give up credit that there's some great, like, visual effects in this. There's some really cool, action scenes. And I mean, when Red Hulk is going crazy at, like, the White House and, like, destroying chunks of, like, the Capitol and stuff when he's fighting and stuff, that's cool shit to see.
That's cool shit
to see. Wish it was more meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. Wish it was, like, more
It's like, you know, when you watch, like, one of those videos on YouTube where some CG animator that's really good and is just kind of doing it on their own will make, like, this comic character versus this comic character, and it's like a really cool thing, but there's, like, no substance to it. It's just like a cool action scene. That's like
another example of the marketing department doing a total disservice to the film, because the film treats the whole plot around turning Ross into the Red Hulk
as like it's going to be a big surprise.
Like, yeah, it's a big reveal. Like, it's a big mystery. It's like, oh, what's the leader like, the whole movie, you know, Sam Wilson is, like, trying to figure out, oh, what's the leader planning? What's going on? And, like, they're teasing, like, these pills that Ross is taking. And you're thinking, okay, there's something going on with the pills. Then there's the big reveal where the one guy Sam enlisted to look into the pills for him gets on it's like, oh, they're full of gamma radiation, and it's injecting it directly into the bloodstream. Well, you have to tell Sam, and then the leader kills the guy. You're supposed to be like, oh my god, gamma radiation. And then when you start to see, like, him change into a Hulk, you're supposed to be like, oh, that's what's happening. But you don't, because they showed Red Hulk in the marketing.
Yeah. I think by that point you wouldn't have cared anyways, because the movie was already kind of shitty at that point.
Right, but that's the intention behind it, at least.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say one of the writers on this movie was the writer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I'm not surprised.
A big chunk of the problem is that writer. Because it's the
I
writing.
liked Falcon and Winter Soldier, though.
I think Falcon and Winter Soldier had similar problems with its villains and stuff.
Yes, it did,
The plot. Falcon and Winter Soldier was good when it was like Bucky and Sam interacting.
It was frustrating, too, because Falcon and Winter Soldier, because had these people who are clearly terrorists, but kept making them like, oh, aren't these like sympathetic characters? You know, they're not the bad guys. They literally are, because they're terrorists. Like, I don't like understand.
Well, I think the bigger issue for me is just that, and it's the same thing that ended up being a problem here, is that the plotting just didn't work. It was the writing didn't work. Like, the writing when it came to like moments with characters in both this and in Falcon and the Winter Soldier worked. But like the plotting writing did not work at all. in either one. And I think that that's the commonality. So I don't know. It was so disappointing. I didn't want to rewatch this movie, and I didn't want to resubscribe to Disney Plus for either of the movies this time. And so to refresh my memory, I just watched like reaction videos of both of them. And it was interesting because I'd already seen these movies like this year in theaters, you know?
Oh yeah, you go to the theaters for everything.
I just needed to kind of refresh my memory. So I watched some reaction videos, and it was interesting on Brave New World because you could tell like their reactions as they're watching it were like, oh, everybody said this was so shitty, but like, this isn't so bad. This is actually pretty good. And then you could kind of see as their faces started kind of slumping as the movie went on. Like, it wasn't like a singular moment, like, oh, this moment turned it to shit. It's like, it just,
it's like,
into mediocrity.
Yeah, that was my thing too. Like, when I started watching it, I was like, okay, this ain't so bad. This is pretty interesting. It's like, oh yeah, I like they got Isaiah Bradley back. Okay, and now like the president's giving like a speech or something. Oh shit, Isaiah Bradley just shot the president. He's been mind controlled. And then you're like, oh, okay, like what's gonna happen from here? And then it just goes so downhill.
It's such a disappointing slide into mediocrity. And it's unfortunate. I feel really bad for Anthony Mackie because he got so much shit from like the racist, toxic part of the MCU fandom.
Oh yeah, he got so much shit.
Oh, he's Captain America now, but he's black. And like, he shouldn't be. And like, the kind of shit he was getting through it, and then he just got his big MCU debut movie for him as Captain America.
As the star.
Yeah.
Of the film.
I just feel so bad for him. It's not his fault. Like, he did a good job.
He did a fantastic job. I loved Anthony in this movie. I want to say, like, I loved Anthony Mackie in this movie. But he got the shit because he gets this dud of the movie. And what makes it even worse is that the Chris Evans trilogy, to me, is like pretty much like an almost flawless run. It's like Captain America is like a great origin film. Then you got The Winter Soldier is like one of my favorite.
Peak MCU,
one of my favorite all-time MCU films. You know, Civil War, I loved it. It was like, I think the way they handled that concept in a movie, like it does, I do get the criticism for Civil War that does feel more like an Avengers movie, but like I still like thought it was a fantastic film. And then you got this. And I just want to like end the conversation on this thinking like, I just think the main issue with this movie is it doesn't know what it wants to be. I think it wants to be an espionage thriller and a superhero spectacle at the same time, but it tries to be both and can't fully commit to being either one. Whereas if you look at like Winter Soldier, the Russos knew they wanted to make an espionage thriller 100%, and they 100% committed to that. It is a spy film that just happens to have Captain America as the protagonist, rather than trying to be like a Marvel superhero film.
I agree with you on Winter Soldier. I kind of disagree that that's the problem with Brave New World. I think the problem with Brave New World is very specifically in the villain plot. It's very specific.
The villain plot is the part that's trying to be a superhero movie.
I'm trying. That's not what I mean, though. I mean, like, my problem is that they're trying to portray a brilliant character, and they're not doing anything brilliant to represent that character.
Right. And I get that. I agree with that.
I think that and that alone pretty much kills the movie. I think that's it. Like, I think if they had brought in a really smart, like, if they brought in a writer who's just really smart and clever and witty, and had that writer really focus in on the leader's plot and why it's going to work this way instead of that way, and how the machinations come together, and really made that solid and just feel smart, I think this movie might have worked.
Well, yeah, it would work better, like, if you realized he was brilliant and stuff by the things he was doing, rather than
if they showed us instead of told us.
Yeah, instead of like having them tell us like he was a genius the entire movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and that extends to like all parts of the movie, where this movie is like very exposition heavy to like an absurd degree, and like most of the leader's character is a symptom of that, where they feel like they have to have him like exposition about his brilliance all the time rather than just simply showing it.
Yeah, I just think if you're going to tackle a character like the leader, I think they would have been better off just not touching that character at all. I think if they're going to touch on a character like that, you have to bring in like a hyper intelligent, logical writer to handle that. And if you don't, it's just not going to fucking work.
I agree.
You know? And it's just, I think that's the crux of what didn't work for me. Like, I honestly think if they had just, brought on another staff writer that really knew their shit when it came to that this might have pulled through, but it didn't.
I am ready to move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about Thunderbolts Asterisk.
Yes, Thunderbolts Asterisk. So this, to me, is the complete opposite of, this is on the other end of the spectrum of what we saw, because I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this
now
movie
you see why I wanted you to do both of these back to back.
Right, because, they're so polar opposite. It's weird also because,
you don't want to just have, a total negative Nancy episode, you know?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, I didn't want to have a negative Nancy episode. That's why, I suggested we do Thunder. I suggested Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
So, but no,
But even before then, way before these came, either one of these came to Disney Plus. I think actually it was around when Captain America came to Disney Plus. I said, let's not do Captain America until Thunderbolts is out. And then we could do them back to back. And that's specifically wise, because I knew Captain America was going to be a negative discussion.
It makes sense, because, there are also some through lines to this, too. Bucky has a larger role in this. Again, we got other characters from Falcon and the Winter Soldier showing up in this. That Brave New World is directly referenced in a scene in this.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough.
Valentina, of course, who debuted in, I believe, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think so.
He was supposed to debut in Black Widow, but that movie got delayed, and so she ended up debuting in
That's right,
Falcon
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, yeah. So we got more characters from that. But this, by contrast, is a movie that knows exactly what it wants to be and hits on all levels. It's got a great villain in Valentina. I think the way they handled the Sentry was fantastic. It's interesting because, that could have been a disaster, because the Sentry is a really, complicated character. And so, that could have been disaster, but I think, Lewis Pullman did a fantastic job. They did a fantastic job handling that character and the nuances surrounding that character.
This movie has a very strong thematic core.
Yes.
It's about mental illness.
That's what's right. Yes.
It's about, depression and anxiety and just disorders and the struggles that people go through. And every aspect of the movie hits on that. I mean, even going down to, we kind of get, a little bit of insight into Valentina, and even that plays into that. It's all of it. Everything touches on that cornerstone. And then addressing that cornerstone is, how the movie ends. It doesn't end with a big action fight or something. It ends with them addressing the issue in the room that everything has been touching on through the whole movie. And I think that's the greatest strength of this movie, is that it has such a strong thematic core.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The fact that, it focuses primarily on Yelena, and she is dealing with depression from losing Natasha is the biggest trigger of her depression, but she's also, thinking about her past and wallowing in, all the bad things that she's done. And she has, nobody to turn to or to talk about this. We know, her adopted father, Alexei, Red Guardian, she hasn't, before this movie, she hadn't spoken to him in, a year. He hadn't spoken to her, so she didn't, even have him to turn to. And so she's kind of, just lost in this depressed miasma, just doing these missions for Valentina and just being miserable and, not seeing any point in life.
Mm-hmm. And that goes through, Yelena's the lead, she's the obvious lead of the movie, but that goes through, all of the characters.
Yeah, all the characters
are motivated by something basically like this.
Yes.
Even Alexei, her adopted father, like you said, is, struggling, He's, struggling with his own mental health. And Bucky Barnes, I love the line that they have towards the end of the movie when all the characters show up in the void.
Yes.
And they're all how did you get here? Are you guys okay or something? And he's oh, I have a great past.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a great past.
I'm perfectly fine. I had a great past. Yeah.
These people, these characters all have really fucked up histories, fucked up things that they've done or, that's happened to them or they've been a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So all these characters are struggling.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked about Yelena. We've talked about Alexei in relation to that. We mentioned in Brave New World about Bucky Barnes being a senator and the kind of through line, which they kind of just abruptly end in this movie.
Yeah.
He's a senator and then he's just fuck it. And that's basically it for his Senate career.
Oh yeah, we we get the scene, where he's talking to the other senator.
That's interesting too. That's Wendell Pierce, who he was just in Superman.
You're right. Yeah, he was just Perry White in Superman, which is funny. In the DCU, he's Perry White. In the MCU, he's a senator. But yeah, he tells Bucky to read the reports or whatever. And you can tell Bucky is just really frustrated with the way, the system works.
Yeah.
Again, it's bureaucracy, it's inefficient and slow. And
he's not cut out for it.
He's not cut out for it. And so, he just decides to go into action.
Then we got John Walker. John Walker is kind of interesting because when we meet him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he is really struggling. He's a good guy in basic regards. Something very bad happens to him through the course of the show, and it kind of sets him off on a course of bad decisions.
Yeah, it sets him off on a course of bad decisions. He also just has a really, really bad temperament.
Yeah. Well, that comes into play around that point because of what happened. Because before that, he didn't really have too much trouble. He was able to keep things under control, and then that just set him off. But then you have here, he's this embittered version of that character. And he's somebody that's basically kind of walled himself off and become embittered, and his relationship was the core of what was keeping him together and saving him at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier falling apart.
We find out towards the end of the movie that his wife left him and took the kid. By this point, he says at the beginning of the movie when they meet up, because Valentina gets them together to trap them in this one place so she can kill them because their evidence. Valentina is undergoing a trial for impeachment. She's trying to burn the evidence. That includes all these people she has working for her. So she's trying to, at the beginning of the movie, that's how everybody meets. But he says the Black Widow and Ghost, at the beginning of the movie, oh, well, I have a wife and kid to get back to try and make himself sound better than them, and we find out at the end of the movie that not really, because she left him and took his kid.
Yeah. Well, we find out earlier because he gets a vision.
Well, we get a vision. It's not really we find out earlier. He gets a vision, but we find he has a fight with her.
But we see that things aren't how he's portraying at that point.
Right, yeah. We see that, things have not been good.
So I think it's interesting because, he's the asshole of the film, basically.
Yeah,
he's just a jerk.
And it's hilarious because, Bob Sentry, early on, has, this really hilarious line where he's you're Captain America, but, you're kind of an asshole.
Well, he's, laughing, and he's like, why are you laughing? He's like, well, you're Captain America, but you're an asshole.
Yeah, well, you're Captain America, but you're an asshole, yeah.
So I thought it was an interesting take on his character. Because Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of ended on a bit of an upbeat note for him, because he went through the shit in that series. All his negative stuff wasn't at the beginning, it was, in the middle of that show. And then by the end, he kind of, seemed like he was on the road to redemption, but then he goes into the employment of Valentina, and you're like, oh, might not be good.
And
then here you see what's kind of been the result of that.
And you can only guess, what kind of things Valentina has had him doing since the last time we saw him,
But you can see the negative effect that's had on him and stuff. And so I thought that was an interesting way to portray his character very differently, because if you remember at the beginning of Falcon and Winter Soldier, he was actually a very positive character. He actually seemed like the kind of person that would be a good replacement for Captain America, because he was very inclusive, very calm, very patient, very trying to do things right. And, he kind of has that Boy Scout mentality, or he did, and then all of that's gone here, which I thought was an interesting way of portraying. I think in a way that makes him one of the more interesting characters because he's so thematically different than when we saw him before.
I like Ghost, but I feel like Ghost didn't get much material in this movie, unfortunately.
No. I think that's just a matter of, it's an ensemble piece.
Yeah, it's an ensemble piece. I think one of the worst things this movie did was Taskmaster. I knew Taskmaster didn't make it out of this movie alive. That was obvious from just
not in any of the trailers.
Not in any of the trailers and stuff. I wasn't expecting her to die in the first sequence, where everybody meets up. I wasn't expecting Ghost to just kill her.
Yeah.
And
I think they initially planned to explore that more. That all of these characters are characters that have done terrible things because of Valentina, and then this movie is them finding redemption for that. But Ghost is the one that does something terrible in the movie itself.
During the movie, yeah. And later they learn that Taskmaster was like ghost target for Valentina, but then they learn Valentina was setting them up and it was bullshit. But she doesn't ever circle back to that and be like, oh shit, well, I kind of fucked up.
Well, there was one part she did talk to, Yelena and she said like, oh yeah, is she a friend of yours? And she said, yeah. And I like that because it also played into Yelena's depression because Yelena was like, it's like, yeah, she had a really bad life and then she did really terrible things and then she died.
She said, she had a bad life. She killed people and now she's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah. And so like, I think that line that Yelena used was like really good. Like I really loved that moment in that line. It just felt like they probably cut some scenes.
Yeah,
where they were more addressing the issues with Ghost. Like it feels like Ghost had some stuff hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah, that seems likely.
Yeah. And that's gonna happen with ensemble pieces. It just is, You can't focus on everybody, and Yelena was obviously the focus.
Right. And again, Bob, the Sentry, fits into this whole theme of mental illness, because, like, that's his thing. That's his whole character.
His character is, like, mental illness turned into a power.
Yeah, turned into a power, yeah. His whole thing is, like he's basically Superman, if Superman had manic suicidal depression, because he has this whole other side to him that's, like, the Void. And the Void is, like, all of his, like, negative emotions manifested into, like, an entity.
Mm-hmm.
And, like a malevolent entity.
I think my one, like, I have to address it, my one kind of complaint about this movie is that they kind of, and like, I'm not a huge fan of Sentry or Void from the comic. Like, I didn't know anything about the character, but they changed things about his origin in here in a way that I don't think really necessarily, like, makes that much sense from, like, a logical perspective. Like, it fits into the story. Like, it works really well into, like, the theme. Like I said, this movie has an incredibly strong thematic core.
Oh, yeah.
And I think his Void's origin hits that, like, right on the head, like, perfect. But in order to make that work, they kind of changed his origin in a way that kind of doesn't really make a lot of logical sense. But I mean, it's a superhero movie. You kind of have to give up some things there,
The basic conceit is Valentina had this off-the-record secret Black Ops project where she's trying to create her own super soldier. She has all these documents about the Sentry, and everything, the Golden Guardian. This is clearly what she wants it to be. And basically, when the movie begins, Yelena is destroying one of the laboratories that Valentina was, like, using for that project. And we find out Valentina's basically given up on it because she's, like, under scrutiny and all the test subjects have, like, died. Like, there's, like, just piles of bodies in this place that she sends them to. And so the project's presumed a failure at that point. And then she finds out, surprisingly, Bob is, like, one of the people that they experimented on who's supposedly dead, but to Valentina's shock, he survives. He wakes up in the place where they dumped his body.
Yeah, I think that this would have worked out better logically if instead of, like, creating him as a super soldier, it was like an experiment to control an already existing powerful being. I think would have made more sense logically. But doing that, they would have, like, not hit the thematic core as hard as they did.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of the right choice that they made, but in doing so, it has the side effect of kind of making something feel a little bit less logical.
There's a whole thing about, Valentina inadvertently gave godlike powers to an emotionally unstable person. And again, Valentina manages to get his trust, get him on her side, and then when he starts basically being very logical about, like, the situation, if I'm a god, why do I have to listen to you? Which is, like, a logical thing for somebody in his place to, like, ask somebody like Valentina, and she like, double crosses him. That's what brings out the Void, which, again, is his negative emotion. It's his powers that he's gained is able to, like, give, like, his negative emotions physical form, pretty much. And then I like it because it doesn't lead to, like, a superhero battle. It leads to Yelena and the others basically going into the Void and, like, having to deal with all their trauma, like his trauma and their trauma on, like, a metaphysical level.
Hitting that thematic core.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I really dug that. It's interesting that the director of this is going to be doing X-Men, because, like, this is a movie about misfits, and that's what X-Men's all about. So I think this director kind of proved himself for, like, X-Men. I think he's going to be a really good choice. I think the only other director that the MCU's had that's as good with misfits as this director is James Gunn, who's obviously not going to come back and do an X-Men movie when he's running DC, you know? But they found somebody else who's good at misfit characters, and I think that's a good pick, and I hope Marvel holds on tight.
Yeah, Marvel should hold on tight, yeah. Because, this is the talented director for sure. I do like the end, too, when it looks like they have Valentina on the ropes, and that's the end of it, and, like, she manages to turn the tables on them.
Clever girl.
Yeah, clever girl. By, like, leading them into, like, a surprise press conference.
Yeah.
Where she announces them as, like, the new Avengers to the world.
Yeah. I think they did a really good job of just doing, like, a misfit story, and this got a lot of comparisons to, like, Suicide Squad and stuff. And I think those are apt, because it's the same kind of thing. It's anti-heroes, it's misfits. It plays into that same kind of role. So I think that really works, but it also allows them to, like, do things in, like, a fun way. Making John Walker such a bitter asshole just, like, works, you know? Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's thematically important, but it just works. And even, like, down to, like, at the end credits, they have, like, all these, like, magazine posters where they're, like, making fun of the new group, like the B-Vengers, you know? Like, all these things.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, and then they have, like, the one image of Walker, like, riding his bent shield.
Yeah, right,
against the saddle. And it just cracked me up when I saw that. I'm like, man, because it's just like, you could tell, like, these characters, with all the shit they're going through, now they're like the new Avengers, and they're still just going to be eating shit, you know?
Yeah, they're still going to be eating shit constantly. Yeah, because the media doesn't know what to make of them. They think, you know, they're considered a total joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty funny.
Let's talk about the post-credit scenes.
Yeah, so there are two I mean, one is just a pretty funny scene. Yeah, with Red Guardian, throughout the movie, talks about, like, being a hero, and to him, like, one of the things about being a hero is getting, like, all these accolades, like, getting to be on the Wheaties box and all this. So, like, he's at a supermarket, there's this woman at the cereal aisle, and the new Avengers are on the Wheaties box. Like, literally. So, like, he's just, like, gesturing it to, like, this woman, and she's, like, confused. And, like, he holds the box up next to his face, and she just, like, grabs it and leaves and, like, sets it down, and she's just, like, getting out of there. Yeah. And he's like, what? It's me!
It's funny because it's like, that you can tell, like, his desperation to be, like, the big hero or something. Like, he had that in the Black Widow movie, too, you know? Like, that kind of, like, that search for glory kind of thing. And he has this, like, moment, and it's obvious he's just been, like, standing in the grocery store waiting for somebody to pass by, just so he can engage them, so he can, like, show off or something. And he's just been, like, just standing in the grocery store waiting for his opportunity. So that's a funny scene. But then the next scene is more interesting. Not only does it have, like, a little, it's not even like a hint, it's just like a reference to something we already know is coming.
Yeah, this is like the big, this is what's happening next. And interestingly, this second post-credit scene was actually not filmed by the filmmakers of the Thunderbolts, or like I said, this was filmed on the set of Doomsday by the Russo brothers.
Mm-hmm. It's like they did that post-credit scene that was like part of Endgame, I think, that was in Captain Marvel kind of thing, you know? Like, this is like gonna probably be an actual scene in Doomsday, you know?
Yeah, this is probably an actual scene in Doomsday, yeah. Because we know, like, all these characters have been confirmed to return in Doomsday.
But what's interesting to me is, like, we got the little Fantastic Four tease with the ship, and you hear the music and everything.
Yeah,
and
it's you see the logo.
It's like, yeah, that's cool and all. But, like, the more interesting thing that I don't think is talked about as much is that they get into this whole dynamic about the Avengers and, like, who are the Avengers? And, like, Sam Wilson not agreeing with them being the Avengers. And, like, that whole aspect is played into. And
again, that's, like, another tie-in to Brave New World, where President Ross asked Sam Wilson directly to revive the Avengers, and Sam Wilson, like, is hesitant, but there's no point in the movie I can remember where he refuses outright or, like, doesn't, like, entertain the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of like through line, it's like, oh yeah, so, like, Sam did go about doing that.
Yeah, and so now, like, you have these two rival Avengers groups, apparently.
Right, yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I think it's interesting that they address that. Like I don't think that that's brought up enough in discussion. I think once the Fantastic Four aspect comes up, that's like all anybody's talking about from the scene. But that's not even like a surprise. Like everybody knew the next movie was Fantastic Four anyway. So it's not like it's like, oh, Fantastic Four, oh my God. It's like, yeah, we knew that existed. We already seen the trailers for it. We knew this was coming, you know?
Right, yeah.
But I think oddly enough, just because it's like the big fan service moment, it kind of overshadows the more interesting discussion about, you know, who are the Avengers now.
Oh yeah, which I'm excited to see that play out further in Doomsday when Sam Wilson's Avengers meet the new Avengers in film for the first time.
And we know all these guys are in Doomsday, as well as the Fantastic Four, and
they ask, they ask Bucky, you know, like if there's anything he could do about, you know, Sam Wilson threatening to sue over the Avengers name, and Bucky says, "Oh, he won't talk to me," or something.
I love that Crimson Guardian has like the jackets made up with Avengers with a Z.
Yeah,
and it's so like it's so off-brand. It's like it totally fits into like this kind of parody of like a Russian. That it's like this whole idea of like the, you know, he's basically turning their group into like the blockbuster direct-to-video version, and he's so proud about that. Like he's so like, that's great, and you can tell
like
everybody else
made everybody
like,
matching uniforms, you know?
Yeah. And they all have just like endorsements up the sleeve, like NASCAR jackets. It's getting into like Booster Gold territory at that point, you know? It's pretty funny. But overall, sounds like you enjoyed Thunderbolts and didn't enjoy Brave New World.
Yeah, Thunderbolts was just like a more well-conceived, well-put-together film. Like, yeah, it actually had a point. It knew what it wanted to be. It stuck to it. I think Brave New World wanted to be an espionage thriller, but it was like, it just went about it in a really lame way. Like, the writing was just like really weak. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the greatest weakness of Brave New World was that it couldn't nail the plotting of the story, like in a way that like made sense and
it couldn't make anything like feel exciting or suspenseful. You know, there's like no suspense to it, which is like the worst thing you're doing when you're like making a thriller, is have no suspense. To me, like, it's not as bad as something like Secret Invasion. I don't even think like it's
Secret Invasion was worse for sure.
Yeah, I don't even think it's the worst Marvel movie. It's probably, to me, like solid D. It's probably somewhere in the middle of the pack.
It's gotta be in like the lower tier though.
Yeah,
it's in that bottom tier, you know? But where that's what made Brave New World fail, what made Thunderbolts succeed was that thematic core.
Yes.
It was how they nailed that thematic core.
Yeah, it's how they nailed it. And like, yeah, fantastic.
And like, I wouldn't put Thunderbolts as like in the top tier of Marvel movies, but it's up there. Like, I wouldn't put it in the S tier, but I'd put it maybe in the A tier.
It's an A. It's an A for me. Yeah. It's
not up there with Winter Soldier and Guardians, but it's up there with some of the other good movies, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It definitely was enjoyable.
I know, like, it didn't do well at the box office, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, that's sad.
I just hope that doesn't put them off of doing more with, like, this team, with this group, because, like, I would like to see more. I would like to see a sequel to Thunderbolts, for sure.
At least they're all going to be in Doomsday, so that's like...
Yeah, at least they're going to be in Doomsday, so I could take comfort in that. I just don't want, like, another Eternal situation where they're like, well, that bombed, let's, like, forget these characters exist ever again.
I still say the issue with Eternals is that they should have done that as a TV show and then a movie.
I agree.
They should have developed the characters in a TV show, like an anthology show even, like with like episodes focusing on individual characters. And then the movie could have still had flashbacks, but the flashbacks would have been when the characters were together. And then like built up from there. And then we'd already know these characters when we went into it. And I think that was the problem with, is just that there were too many characters that we hadn't met yet and too much story to get through.
Too much backstory to get through.
Yeah. And there just wasn't time. Like, I think that was the problem with Eternals more than anything else.
100%.
But yeah, so that's it for full spoilers, and that's it for this week's episode. Next week, we're gonna kind of cheap out a little bit. We're gonna do something we did before already, which is direct predictions. Last time, the direct didn't end up happening. We ended up later getting a third-party partner directs, which wasn't really what we were looking for.
We're flying by the seat of our pants here because there's no guarantee a direct is even happening, but there's rumors, there's scuttlebutt, and also like generally a direct happens in September. So like we're fairly confident there's going to be a direct. So we want to do predictions, and I'm fairly confident that this time it's going to be a general direct too. So
yeah, it's needed. We need a general Nintendo Direct right now.
Yeah, we need it.
So the rumor is that it's going to happen on either the 11th or the 12th, and even if it doesn't happen then, it's almost surely, like, it would be weird if it didn't happen sometime soon after. So we're just going to take that as our cue, and we're going to do Direct predictions for our next week's podcast because, like I said, the rumor is it's either going to happen next Thursday or Friday. We record on Wednesday. So we're going to do our predictions before the Direct is rumored to happen with the expectation that the next week we'll be able to do our Direct reactions. And so that's what we're doing next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on both of those platforms. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up a container story to any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all the relevant links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, all of that is there. So you can check that out then. If you go to our website and open up that container story, you'll also find links to our YouTube page. If you do that, then you can check out the entire backlog of this podcast as well as additional content. And you can also subscribe to this podcast to your favorite podcast client of choice like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts. So thank you everybody for listening. Good night. Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.